ACEC's upcoming annual convention and legislative summit is not just about advocacy. Join us for sessions focused on federal market opportunities, workforce and employee retention, technology innovation, and financial management. These sessions are tailored to give you information you need to help your firm succeed in a complex and competitive marketplace. Visit our website for a full schedule of sessions and register today. I look forward to seeing you in June.
Welcome to Engineering Influence podcast from the American Council of Engineering Companies. Now today we're focusing in on our upcoming Engineering Excellence Awards program that's just roughly 4 weeks away from the time that we're recording this. And we're talking to HDR, who's not only a diamond sponsor of the event, they also have 3 projects that they're going to be getting an award for. It's 2 honor projects and 1 grant project. And very excited to be joined by the project teams and some of the clients on those award-winning projects. And to start off, I want to go to a grant award-winning project, which is in South Carolina with the South Carolina Ports Authority. It's the Hugh Leatherman Terminal, Phase 1, site development. Won a grant award. And to join us to talk about this, we have Andrew Thies of HDR, and we have Butch Weber with the South Carolina Ports Authority. And I want to appreciate, number one, I appreciate you guys taking some time out of your schedule today to talk. And really want to talk about this project because I was there for the judging. And I will tell you that this got a lot of conversation because when we're talking about economic value and impact, not only to a city or a state, but we're talking about a regional economic impact, something like this project. Is tremendous, and they kept on going back to the importance that this entire project and the vision for it going forward is going to mean for the state for jobs and opportunity. So really to start off, I really want to open it up and start with Andrew to talk about the project itself and how HDR got involved and tell us a little bit about the project and what HDR's role was in with getting it done.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much, Jeff. Yeah, really proud to be a grand award winner and nominee here for the project. It's super exciting. If I could, I'd like to take a little step back and talk a little bit about history of Charleston. And it's very evident when you work there in the town. It's known as the Holy City for all its church spires, and it's just got a tremendous amount of history. And the project really plays into that. So I just want to mention a few things. I was looking at some of the largest cities in the country back in 1800, and actually Charleston was one of the top 5 largest cities in the country, with New York, Philadelphia, Baltimore, Boston, and Charleston. And if you think about that, all 5 of those cities are port cities. And some of the biggest cities that develop in our country and really in the world are port cities. It's got a wonderful natural protected harbor, and it's a great spot for continued port development. So the HLT project goes all the way back. Well, some of the the history of it, the forebodings of the project would be like the Ravenel Bridge. The city leaders, they had a great vision to raise that bridge and build that iconic Ravenel Bridge through the city back in 2002, 2005. And also you had the Harbor Deepening Project, which took the whole ship channel down to 52 feet, which was just completed in 2022. That was a 12-year project. Took a lot of money from the state and from the federal government, with Senator Leatherman, who the namesake of the terminal, working to secure about $300 million for that deepening project. Both of those projects had to happen in order for the HLT project to get developed where it is upriver of the Ravenel Bridge on the ship channel. So all of that work has enabled South Carolina to just flourish economically. When you think of some of the businesses like BMW, Michelin, Boeing, some of the big major employers that have come to the region, they come there not only for the workforce and the quality of life, but also because there's a port there to get their goods in and out. So when you talk about logistics and the importance of a port city like Charleston to the worldwide economics and logistics, it's really pretty amazing. It takes a lot of civic leaders with a lot of vision, and I know HLT alone took over 20 years of development, and we actually are fortunate enough to have one of the guys that was there almost since the very beginning, and that's Butch Weber, who has given a lot of his life to seeing this project get done. And I know he's super proud. I'm super proud to have been able to work with Butch. And so with that, let me hand it over to him.
Charleston is a port town. It always has been, and it always will be. This is the first port terminal to open since 2009. I mean, just the scale and scope of this project is massive. What does it mean to you, and what does it mean to the city?
Well, I mean, for me personally, it's huge. Like Andy said, I've had the privilege of working here since 2007. When we first broke ground on the terminal, I was involved in those early site preparation projects. So for me, it was, it was a huge day in March 2021 when that first truck pulled in with the container on it. That's a day that I will not forget anytime soon. And for the city, it is a huge impact for us. And like Andy said, it is one piece, of the larger puzzle for the Ports Authority. And this terminal, along with all of our other terminals, you were talking about the impact, Jeff. Our economic impact on the state of South Carolina is $63 billion just through the Ports Authority. 1 in every 10 jobs, directly or indirectly, is related to the ports business, maritime, in Charleston. The wages for the maritime workforce, about 35% more, than the average wage for a family in the state of South Carolina. So all of those things go into the Port Authority and are going to, they're going to benefit the local citizens, plus everybody else in the state, in the region. And, on the impact thing, this number always amazes me, but for the economic impact of $63 billion here in the Low Country area, which, are the counties along the coast and the southern part of the state, that impact is less than $8 billion. But in the upstate, about as far away in South Carolina as you can get from our terminal, that impact there is like $33 billion. So, yeah, so it shows that it's not just a benefit to this local region, this little corridor around us. It extends through the state and beyond, our state's borders.
Absolutely. The one thing that we find when it comes to intermodal and logistics and port operations is that the effect, the downstream secondary and tertiary economic effects are widespread and run deep beyond the initial coastal areas and communities there. What does it mean? I guess let's start again from the Ports Authority's perspective of having this project win one of the Grand Award. One of the highest award categories that we have with really, it's outside of Grand Conceptor, that Grand Award is the highest with the Engineering Excellence Awards. What does it mean for the authority to be able to be recognized like that?
It's significant for us. Our engineering group at the Port Authority, we're pretty small. We're like 7 strong, and we have a large capital project. And I think this just sheds light on some of the projects that we have going. A lot of people don't realize what the Port Authority undertakes and the amount of money that's pumped back in, to the state just with our, if you just take our capital projects alone. We have a very significant capital program. When we when we finish phase one of HLT, we haven't stopped building. We're right now we're building the next 2 container blocks in HLT, getting ready for future growth. We've also jumped right into an intermodal rail yard that's going to be, connected to the terminal with a 1 mile private drayage road. So we'll have near dock rail to the terminal. Yeah, that's another $550 million plus investment, in this area, and that will benefit. We have 2 inland rail terminals, so this will provide very quick connectivity to our intermodal rail facilities served by Norfolk Southern and CSX. Keeps a lot of trucks off the road, so it's benefits to the cities too around us. 25% of our containers typically leave by rail, so with HLT being within a mile of this new railhead that we're building, it allows all those trucks to stay off the rail or off the roadways and onto the rail. So, but as far as the award for our little engineering group, it's pretty impressive. We all take it very seriously. We understand what it is, but it's also opened the eyes of some of the other folks within the port that don't really think about that. So it is a big deal for us, for sure.
Oh, it's been really fantastic, Jeff, and it goes to kind of highlight. We have really given our best to give the best service we could to the South Carolina Ports Authority, and having the project come out as well as it did, on time and under budget, with a tremendous amount of value engineering, cost savings, and a lot of schedule pressure. We got the whole thing. A lot of re-engineering done and construction in the midst of the COVID epidemic, which was really challenging, and to have accomplished that in that time frame was pretty amazing. And what it has meant to us, a lot of port authorities talk, and as we can provide the best service to one great client like South Carolina Ports Authority, that word can spread, and hopefully it'll help us build our portfolio projects in program management and owner's representative type work, because we really feel that's a strong point for our company. So yeah, and this particular award has been it's really fantastic. I'm really excited about getting up to Washington, D.C. for the ceremonies.
Yeah, and we look forward to seeing it. And, I think you mentioned value engineering. I think it was $32 million total of money saved in finding efficiencies and different alternatives and things of that nature. So it wasn't just delivering the project, but it was also trying to figure out the most efficient way to do so, which is a testament to the work you guys did.
I'm going to say, Jeff, Andy touched on it, but you can't, it's hard to explain how it all came together. Everybody uses that, the buzzword collaboration. And let me tell you, that's the only way this project came together. And Andy and his team, really helped choreograph all of that with all of our contractors. Everybody was working together on this one, and it would not have been successful if it wasn't for everyone pulling in the same direction. I think from the Port Authority, we will accept a little bit more risk than some of your other owners. We have a little bit more flexibility in that. We are willing to work with contractors and consultants and collaborate and partner more than I've worked with some other big state and federal agencies before, and it's a little bit more cumbersome. We're a lot more nimble. But the reality is, it was the contractors and the professional services team like HDR and Andy and all his folks that really made all this come together. And if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be having this conversation right now, I can promise you.
Well, that's a great point. Butch Weber, South Carolina Ports Authority, Andrew Thies with HDR, thank you very much for joining us to talk about the project. Congratulations. We look forward to seeing you in Washington, D.C. in just a little over 4 weeks' time, and it's going to be a fantastic evening to celebrate this great accomplishment. So thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you so much, Jeff.
Yeah, thanks, Jeff.
Now I want to kind of pivot over to another project that HDR worked on now. This is an honor project, and I think this is a very interesting one because it's not only an infrastructure project, but it's something that really deals with another aspect of engineering, which is very near and dear to us, and it's something that we're focused on at ACEC, and that's how engineering can kind of break down historical barriers to opportunity and equity, and how the design environment can help bring communities together and create opportunities for communal space, for a more natural environment in what used to be just a concrete jungle. And what we're talking about right now is a project in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And as a Pennsylvania native, it's always nice to see Pittsburgh kind of get a shout out here. But it's the I-579 Urban Open Space CAP. And this was both kind of an infrastructure project as well as just capping essentially an underground or a subterranean infrastructure area with an actual urban open space and green space cap. And to talk about this project, very pleased to be joined by Nicholas Burdett. He's the Northeast Bridge Leader at HDR. And Nicholas, thank you very much for joining us on the program.
Absolutely, Jeff. No, thanks for having me, and I'm excited to be able to share some about this really unique project. We're so honored to be receiving this honor award for the project.
Yeah, let's go into how the project came about. How did the concept for the cap kind of come about? Because it's a very innovative use of what was just negative space inside of a multiple highways kind of set in such a way where you had this cavern of just opening in an urban area.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was not a place that people wanted to be before the project. So I'll take you back. It really kind of the seeds of the project started in the early 1900s. So to sort of set the stage and the picture here, you had downtown Pittsburgh developing with skyscrapers and all of the opportunities for jobs and amenities that were there. And up through the middle of the 1950s, you had a neighborhood called the Hill District. It was a predominantly African-American community that came right up to the edge of downtown. There was really seamless integration between those two places. But unfortunately, as happened in many cities around America, in the late 50s, there was this urban renewal concept, and it hit Pittsburgh hard. They actually raised about 100 acres of the lower Hill District, displaced about 8,000 people, and built a new civic arena there, as well as a sea of parking lots. And as part of that development, they built the Crosstown Boulevard, which was basically became an Interstate 579, which, as you say, was a concrete canyon. It basically split downtown from this parking lot arena, and then behind that, the Hill District, with 40, 50-foot tall concrete retaining walls and 4 lanes of interstate. And so it really completely changed access for the neighborhood to downtown and created a real barrier between those two spaces. So, HDR got involved with the project about 10 years ago, and local civic leaders and a number of organizations came together. The Sports and Exhibition Authority of Pittsburgh really led the charge, and HDR was able to assist in a Tiger Grant application. And so the team was successful in getting a $19 million Tiger Grant, really around the idea of using those funds, those transportation dollars, to create a link that was going to unlock the development potential of the former Civic Arena site. The Civic Arena was torn down, leaving 28 acres to develop, and critically, the Hill District that had been so isolated by development in the late 50s.
Yeah. Something like this requires a lot of collaboration, like you mentioned, with, the Hill District, civic leaders there, and then civic leaders with the city. I mean, how did HDR work with the local community to kind of pitch the idea and kind of get stakeholder engagement and agreement on kind of writing this, not to say wrong, but this situation that kind of just evolved over time and so much building in decades?
Yeah, absolutely. No, great question, Jeff. And that was a key piece of the project was kind of rebuilding trust and engagement around development because understandably, the community was incredibly skeptical of development because that's what had caused the problem previously. So, one of HDR's values is to listen first. And I feel like that was kind of on overdrive here. It was really critical to get input and to listen to what the needs of the neighborhood were as part of this. And it was clear the project was not going to move until there was significant buy-in from the civic leaders, especially those in the Hill District. So, did a number of design charrettes, moved meetings not, on a site that's comfortable for the development group, but actually into the neighborhood to make sure we were making it as accessible as possible. And honestly, one of the best things that the team did was hire artists from the Hill District. So there was a concept of really making the park that was going to be on top of the cap bridge structure, making that a park that was really what the neighborhood wanted and integrating some of the themes that the neighborhood identified in terms of some of the seating and the story walls that told the history of the neighborhood, some of the significant themes and ideals of the neighborhood were kind of woven into the park through art. And we had a team of 4 local artists from the Hill District who were hired to be part of the project team. So really going beyond listening, but actually saying, come join us in creating this. And that was, I think, a key piece to building that trust and making it apparent that this really was going to be something that we wanted to be good for everyone as part of the development.
Just like I asked Bush and Andrew, I mean, from your perspective at HDR, working on this project for a number of years and seeing how it all came together, what does it mean to have it recognized in an awards program like EEA?
It means a whole lot, Jeff. I think I've been a bridge engineer for 20 years. I've worked on a lot of bridges. This is the most impactful project I've been a part of. To feel like it's a metaphorical bridge as well as a physical bridge, and a mechanism for healing and restoration. Reconnection. It's exciting for that to be honored and recognized, and really appreciate ACEC in recognizing that. I also, as Andrew said, this I feel like is just the start. This is a problem that happened in many cities. There's lots of places where there was a lot of isolation as part of interstate development in the 50s, 60s, 70s, and so it's been exciting to be able to coach, advise, be a little bit ahead of the game on that, and help other cities that are looking at how to fund these projects, how to overcome the technical challenges of building a bridge over an interstate with soil and a park on top of it. There's definitely some unique pieces there. So it's great to be highlighted in this way. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, it is a fantastic project, and I think it's a testament to, everybody looks at the project itself and the technical aspects, or whether it was efficient project management and delivery, or it was an innovative design solution. Those are all very important aspects to the awards program because it's, of course, excellence in engineering. But the unspoken part is the lasting impact, positive impact that these projects have on communities, whether it's the Leatherman project with the port, greater opportunity in the state of South Carolina for economic development and attracting business, whether it's totally tearing down barriers to opportunity and mobility in a city like Pittsburgh. It's amazing what your work does because it really does enhance life. And I want to congratulate you on the project. And again, I also look forward to seeing you at the event.
Absolutely, Jeff. Thanks. Yeah, I got measured for my tux, and I'm very excited to be there.
Well, we're going to have a red carpet just like last time, so make sure to stop by it on your way into the event room, and we can do another talk about the project and get some photos taken. So make the most out of it.
Sounds great. Thanks.
And keeping the theme, I mean, really, we're talking about economic development. We're talking about social impact. Now we're talking about something else, which is a project that I have to tell you, I don't think there was a project during judging that had more debate surrounding it than the next project we're going to talk about. And this is another project from HDR, which is up in Billings, Montana. And it is the, let me make sure I got this right, Craig. It's the Billings Nutrient Replacement Project, correct?
Nutrient improvements and expansion. Yep.
My apologies for that. I wrote that down wrong. But I got to tell you something. This is a project that there were a lot of engineers and a lot of experts in the judging room that were really just, because everybody kind of gets up and makes an argument for and against, and this one was competitive because I think of the impact it had on the local economy and the local community itself, just from a quality of life standpoint. Can you explain what the project is and how it came about?
Yeah, so there's kind of three different areas of the project. So one, the city was facing new discharge requirements. So, and the main thing there was lowering their nutrients in the effluent into the Yellowstone River. So that's reducing their nitrogen and phosphorus. So that was a big part of it. And then also expanding the plant to meet future population growth. And then another thing was just improvements throughout the plant for aging equipment, electrical, and control. So essentially the whole plant saw improvements.
Yeah, but it really did have I think that the thing that kind of caught everyone's eye was the fact that we look at a lot of projects that are in urban areas, large urban areas, of course, New York, Los Angeles, Pittsburgh to an extent, as large areas. But when we're talking about Billings, the quality of this project for the community that it serves, I think, is something that really stood out to people. What has been the reaction from civic leaders with this project now in place and now having, cleaner water as a result?
Yeah, well, we have a huge population of 100,000 here, maybe a little bit more. So big metro area for Montana, about 10% of the whole population. Yeah, exactly. The environment is huge in Montana. A lot of outdoor activities and that kind of thing. And of course, water is a big part of that. So water is really important. And, Montana itself has been kind of on the leading edge of, setting requirements for discharge and specifically to nutrients. So, this was, being the largest city and having the largest wastewater plant, this is a huge project to knock down their nutrients and improve the water quality, into the Yellowstone River. So, a huge fishery and just an important water body for all of Montana. So it was just a really important project for that.
What was the reaction to from your client when you got word that the project won an honor award at the EEA Awards?
Yeah, it is a huge honor for the city, for the client, and for ourselves. Little old Montana here being recognized as one of the top projects in the country. They were really delighted, and we were excited too.
Fantastic. It's a fantastic project. I think that, when everybody's coming down to the awards program, we have, of course, our big posters that have each project listed and has the details of each project. Make sure to seek this one out because it really did have a massive impact for the state and for, just the fact that water is so important, not just from an environmental standpoint, but also from an economic standpoint for Montana. And having a project like this, especially to win an honor award, is just a great honor. It has been great talking to, and it's been great talking to you all about these projects. All very well deserved honors. I look forward to seeing each and every one of you at the awards program. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to speak to the people out there who haven't registered yet, because time is short, tickets are available. It's going to be a fantastic evening of celebrating some of engineering's greatest accomplishments. 3 projects here you've heard about today. And of course, it's tied to the back end of the annual convention and legislative summit that happens in advance of the EEA program. We're running out of time for that too. Registration is open. We encourage you to do so soon because we have great speakers. Governor Christie, we have speakers from the World Economic Forum, CNBC's former chief economist, a number of other education sessions, and our grassroots advocacy event up on the Hill, where we can take our policy priorities right to the people who make the laws, your elected members of Congress. So make sure to register. Go to www.acec.org, and we will see you next month. And this has been an episode of Engineering Influence podcast from the American Council of Engineering Companies, and we'll see you next time.
What's up, everybody? John Dornbos here, and I know what you're thinking. Wait a minute, is that the guy that played 14 years in the NFL? No big deal. Or you might be thinking, that's the magician from America's Got Talent. And I've seen him on the Ellen DeGeneres show. And there's a good chance you're looking at the screen right now going, I got no idea who you are, pal, nor do I really care, so let's just keep this puppy moving. It is time for the ACEC annual convention going from June 11th to June 14th. And if you haven't registered, what are you doing? Go to www.acec.org and register right now. This is the biggest event in engineering, and you can have your voice heard by Congress. And let's face it, you got a fantastic lineup of speakers, including this guy. Definitely don't want to miss that one. Like I said, make sure you're registered, secure your ticket, and I will see all of you in June.